Let me explain you exploratory factor analysis using R. We will go through different section of the output of R, and during that process we'll get a good understanding of how does exploratory factor analysis work. So here we are going to learn by exercise. One thing you need to keep in mind that exploratory factor analysis is all about finding latent variables. And if there are no latent variables in the dataset, you may not get the factor analysis output what you are looking for. What we will do, we'll do a demo with the very much the same dataset on which we had done the principal component analysis, and then we'll discuss some of the concepts. But first, let's understand the null hypothesis of factor analysis. The null hypothesis of factor analysis is that the model gets described very well by the factor that we have found. So if you are putting factor equal to 1, and if the p-value is bigger, means it is not significant, means it is not against null hypothesis, at that time it means that one factor itself is sufficient to explain the data. However, if p-value is smaller, it means it is against null hypothesis. It means model doesn't predict the data well, and you will have to add one or more factor. Traditionally, a smaller p-value means smaller than 0.01. However, if you are dealing with small data set, sometimes a smaller than 0.1 itself can be called significant, means you will operate at 90% confidence interval. So what will happen if p-value is quite small? You will add more factor. And what does it mean if p-value is higher? Let's say 0.2. That doesn't mean you can comfortably stop. Actually, you will have to add one or more variable to see the gain. So if at all I summarize, this is how the steps will go. You first try with one factor. If p-value is significant, means if it is quite small, try more factors. If you keep adding factors till the time it becomes insignificant, means p-value becomes bigger than 0.05, and when it happens, at that time try one or more factors to see the gain, and then you decide about number of factors. As I told you, it is always not possible that you will get the factor analysis completed on any given data set, and let me demonstrate the same to you. So here is the data set on which we did the principal component analysis. If you look at, this was the survey data on which we did the principal component analysis. Can we get the latent factors here? Let's just try. So what I'm going to do here, on the same data set, I'm just trying with factor 1. The p-value is insignificant, means, no, I think it is giving me the wrong output. Just let me try once again. The survey data is not here, and that's why it has given me the wrong output. So let me load the survey data once again. This is the data that we had used for survey analysis. Let's open and see it. So yes, this is the data. Now let's go ahead and do the factor analysis. So before that, let's run this. So here it is. Let's look at the, so it is saying that the p-value is 0.0028, which means this one factor is not sufficient to explain the data. Let's try with factor equal to 2. Factanal is the syntax. Let's try with factor 2. So again it is 0.197, and just because it's a 16 data set, ideally you like it to be bigger than actually zero point 0.1, when you like to call it that it is not significant. So even this is not good. Let's try with one more factor. So look at 0.0571 or 16 data set, 16 observations, you like it to be actually bigger than 0.1. So let's try with one more factor. So if you look at, it has actually given that 4 factors are too many for 7 variables. So you will not, if you recall, I had told you that how many data set and how many factors, how many variables you require if at all you want to do factor analysis. So on this data set, you are not able to do the factor analysis with the approach that was recommended, because for 16 data set, if at all you are looking at p-value to become bigger than 0.1, it didn't happen at all. So in this case, the point that I am trying to say, that you didn't get the latent factor, latent variables at all. Now let's try with another data set on which we can find the factor, and then we will try to give it latent variable a name, and we will understand every part. So this was part 1, where I explained you that every time factor analysis is not possible, but now I'll go to another data set where it will be possible, and I'll explain you different fractions of the different portion of the output of R again.